Let's round 3 it up. We're on the draw again. Hopefully they're not playing werewolves again. And that we draw more than lands this time. That'd be good. Werewolves are interesting. I have always had a bit of a design problem with them because of essentially what just happened. In game 1, we had... Oh, God. We can cast the Throttle or the Epitaph Golem on turn 4, which is nice, I guess. Our opponent mulliganed, which is also nice. I don't know if that's enough to swing us back into the game, considering we're on the draw. It might just be good enough. But if they're playing red, we're in trouble. Oh, this is very hard. If I knew I was against a slow deck, this would be great. If I knew I was against a fast deck, this would be a snap mole. I think I'm going to keep it, just because mulliganing against fast decks is also bad. We do have enough early plays, and we're on the draw, that we have a non-zero chance of finding some way to spend mana early on. Alright, but as I was saying about werewolves, when you draw awkwardly, werewolves are so punishing. But when you draw quite well and your opponent has a bit of a slow game, and they're playing the werewolves as our opponent was in that circumstance, then it's awful for them. You know, it's no better. Okay, our opponent is playing islands and doing nothing. This is great for this hand. So the werewolves in this set are nowhere near as bad as the ones in original Innistrad block, I feel. I mean, was it Dark Ascension that had Lamholt Elder, which was a 1/2 for 3 with no other text besides the werewolf transform, which flipped into a 4/5 that drew cards when it dealt combat damage to the opponent, which, you know, is by no means reasonable, right? Like, this is a 4/5 for 3 that draws cards. It's sort of Tasiga, but you don't even have to pay to draw the cards, and your opponent doesn't get a say in what you pick up. So I think we're enchanting the island here, because we have another one, and because forests are more valuable to us. This is a very passive play, but we have enough chunky blockers that I'm not too concerned about just passing the turn here. Might actually be worth holding on to the... Ooh, wow. Sinister Concoction, okay. Probably worth holding on to this, because it's more valuable than the Silent Observer. So I'll just drop the Observer this turn, I believe. Or we could continue to dawdle and play the Ulvenwald Mysteries. I feel like Mysteries Stranger next turn could be quite good. This might turn into a Gaia's... No, Giza's Bidding. I can remember card names, which would be quite scary. We can drop the Stranger and draw a card. The opponent probably kills it. Maybe they'll ignore it for a while, actually. It doesn't really do anything. Let's save this until we can either play Ulvenwald Mysteries with it for tempo reasons, or let's threaten Confront the Unknown. Or actually activate it. I feel like I'm probably playing it next turn with the Mysteries. Is that getting countered? Sure, whatever. That is not important. But we should remember that they have this. So I mean, the Stranger blocks this pretty well. Yeah, they have the Giza's Bidding. I mean, the downside is that if our opponent, presuming our opponent does have Bidding, we're getting attacked for 6 now, which is pretty huge. I mean, they're pretty... Okay, they don't. That's awesome. That's very fortunate. Don't care about that as much. In fact, probably not in the slightest, really. Although it does make Epitaph Golem quite sad. Are we seeing this getting... Okay, that's fine. So do I crack these now, in the hope of drawing something good to do this turn? Or do I crack them in my opponent's turn, hoping they'll walk into the 1/1s, say double blocking this? Ooh, that's a good draw. It's quite an interesting draw, actually. You have 7 mana. We can play the Golem and crack a clue, or indeed put Kindly Stranger on the bottom of the library. We can also hold up Throttle. Feels like I ought to crack 1 clue now, and hopefully we hit, say, Drownyard Explorers. It's going to auto-yield to this. Or even a Erdwall Illuminator. That'd be great. Fork in the road. That is less great. I mean, playing this doesn't achieve anything because our opponent can just block for days. So I'm gonna... I think I might play this just for the filtering and confront the unknown in the opponent's turn. Yeah, that seems reasonable. And we ship it. There are some quite interesting lines of play in this format. So I think this confront is quite an easy block. And the opponent's kind of obliged to spend a bunch of mana on giving it Death Touch. Maybe I should have pumped pre-blockers and then chomped this. No, that's less good than just being able to double block it now. I wish you could sort of generically auto-yield to clues. That'd be great. I don't want to throttle this, so I'm not going to. I think we're going to sack this now and hope for something nice to play. Because dropping these 5-drops into the Corpse Trawler is boring. Oh, that's perfect. Little sad that it happens after all the other clues are gone, but yeah, I don't see myself doing anything else here. They're not representing a second broken concentration, right? That's double blue. Deny existence doesn't matter. So this is probably good against whatever they're doing. And we don't even have to care about Delirium because they already have it. So I guess we only need to care about them finding flashback creatures. I think I might do this now just to F6 basically. I'm maybe that's incorrect because they might hit it. They have another one? Oh boy. Haha. Awesome. That's the thought. That would have been a good reason to hold on to that. No, I think we're going to want to spend our mana at some point on things other than 1/1s and durdling. I mean, while our opponent's making 1/1s and durdling, we can do the same thing. We're going to do it better than they are because of this, but that is fine. Is that... what is that targeting? Yeah, that's targeting one of the tokens. That's a really weird play. You know, I guess targeting this is quite bad. No attacks. Excellent. Alright, so I think the first thing we do is play the second Memories. We have 6 mana left, which is not enough to play a body and crack a clue. That's probably okay. Maybe it's nice to hold up Throttle and start doing things in earnest next turn. No, that doesn't feel relevant. Let's drop a creature. Oops. Yeah. Our opponent's not quite top decking, but they're not doing a lot. So, oh! Okay. That's scary. That's foil. That must be worth a lot. Reveal the top card, and yeah. So we take 3. Ouch! Wow. We're going to need to do some pretty fast milling. That is late. It's not dreadful, but it's late. I guess if nothing else, it attacks Sorin. Actually, we can just sit here and attack Sorin. Maybe I'm going to sacrifice this first. Wow. That is quite a good draw. In fact, that is an extremely good draw. How about these, Sorin? So we pump this, kill the zombie, draw 2 cards, mill the opponent for a bunch, and hit Sorin for a few. Then I guess I pass and play the clues in our opponent's end step because they could have Biting Rain or something. And just hope we don't die to Sorin in the meantime. I reckon this probably... the average CMC is probably about 2 or 3, considering with lands and stuff. Oh no! I was just about to type to my opponent, the Fleeting Memories train is rolling, and they interrupted it. Well, I guess we mill them. I think this means they can't plus Sorin because they take lethal. Lethal mill, that is. If they do, I might be wrong. Yeah, it costs them a very relevant turn at this point. They have an Avacyn? Really? Come on. They've got a Reckless Scholar, Avacyn, Pore Over the Pages, some decent defensive bodies, 2 Druno Corpse Trawlers. Wow. This is scary. I think we just have to hope to mill out all their good cards. That's basically the plan, right? I guess Throttle does kill Avacyn pretty well. And they don't seem to have that much removal. Sinister Concoction, Deadweight. I guess Avacyn pretty much counts. Gone Missing is okay. And they have the Counterspell, which we need to bear in mind. Okay, so this might be worth it. So they have a Planeswalker, although the Planeswalker could just minus and kill it. This is more mill. If we need to up the clock, this is beef. This could be kind of good against what they're doing. Oh, yes. Yes. We're going to be on the draw, so let's cut a fork in the road, I guess. Yeah. Wow. Let's just mill all their good cards. Avacyn and Sorin are what we have to fear. Everything else is kind of fine. This is not really a hand, but on the draw maybe it's keepable. We're sort of reasonably likely to hit a 3rd land for this. We can dig slightly. It's very sketchy. This deck probably mulligans reasonably well because of all the clues. Maybe I'm just meant to just ship this. It does have an anti-Avacyn sideboard card. That seems important. And we have a pretty good curve if we get the lands. This isn't great in this matchup, I guess. Well, it's very difficult. I think we'll take it, owing to being on the draw. I would not keep this on the play. That is not a good top deck for our first turn. Rancid Rats, yeah. Also not a good top deck. Right. Come on, deck. We need to see a forest next turn. It's all on you. Okay. That's sort of fine. Island. I think I'm going to spend my mana and give us the option to dig next turn if we need to. Like, obviously I'm hoping we just top deck a land and slam this or this, but that is not tremendously likely. Hey! So do I play Mysteries first or Explorers? Explorers is more proactive. Might bait them into using this. But that's part of the reason I want to use the Mysteries first. We have the luxury of time. Our opponent has played... well, they missed their 3rd land drop, and they have no blue. So I think I'm just going to take advantage of the free pass to Durdle, because we can turn this off pretty hard. Okay, they have Mon now. That's sadder. That's quite bad for us, I guess. Oh, we can block it with a token from this and then confront it. It's pretty good. The temptation to trade for the Rancid Rats is quite high, but there is literally no point in doing that when we have tokens. Yeah, can't block here. His life total is not irrelevant. Oof, that's scary. Okay. Do you know what? I think that might be a good play. It does mean we can't make a 1-1 and pump it with this, but it does get the mill train rolling pretty quickly, and our opponent's going to have to sacrifice something pretty good if they want to angelically purge it. Okay. So I guess this is going to die to Sinister Concoction, and then we chomp this. Ghostly Wings. Oh! Okay. Okay. We can do that. I mean, we take a bunch here. This is more aggressive than I was expecting. Oh wait, we have this up. I just completely didn't see my other island for some reason. So I guess they can make the discard, but it's still a 2-for-1. And a pretty big tempo hit. Discarded 30 from Oculus, sure. That's a lot of Skulk. I mean, the mechanic is cool, but that's a lot of Skulk. Okay, so now I think we just get to... No, I'm going to play this. This is too good not to play. I guess our opponent might concoction it, that's fine too. So we can still crack a clue, block, pump, which gets rid of the Revenant. I guess I attack with this Drownyard Explorers because it is not on blocking duty. No end step concoction. Let's see a Corpse Trawler here, I guess. So if they hold up the concoction for the clue, do we want to confront it still? I guess we can just make a 1-1 and block the rats instead. So they're bidding. That is very scary. They do have it. Called it. And they're targeting the sleuth. Yes. That is all gonna happen. Yep. Times are good. Oh yeah, we're still milling them while we do this. Oh, let's heal to that. Come on, Sorin and Avacyn in the bin. Oh, let's heal to that. Yes! Oh, and he was going to top deck it next turn. Fantastic. Block this. Noms. So we're currently milling for 12, which is not quite where we want to be. Graph Mole, that seems good right here. Our opponent's got a fair bit of pressure on. I'm more than happy to play this. I think I'm going to leave the Explorers back because I think we can... I mean, they're on 20. We can afford to be a bit passive because we have the memories. I mean, I guess at some point they can draw Angelic Purge. But we have another one, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Plus making them... If they sacrifice creatures to do that, we can start attacking. So I just pass here, I think. Like, because that would take up most of their turn and then clear out some of their board as well as this. Swing with the team. What could they even have? I think I'm just going to block with everything. Even the mole. I just want to get whatever this is out of their hand. It could be a tenacity, I guess, but that's not a big deal here. Do they have Emissary of the Sleepless? Do they have the Biting Rain? Biting Rain. It's probably Biting Rain. Whoops. I forgot about that. Yeah. One of those awkward things where I saw most of their deck, but not this one. So, Poor of the Pages. They still have Sorin in the deck. Oh, we still get to do this! I think this now... No, we're not quite on lethal. We're a little bit off. I don't think we have a reason to do anything beyond make clues here, but let's find out. Can do this partially now. Storm Rider Spirit. Still no Sorin. Kindly Stranger is fine, but Sorin just kills it. Reckless Scholar gone. Still no Sorin. They probably have Sorin. Do I sack another one now and then just... No. I'm going to hold up Confront on the off chance they play Sorin and minus. Or do something else. It's nice to have Mana up. Drew no Corpse Trawler, that is fine. Do this now. Have we hit Sorin yet? No. It's probably in their hand. So the Confront is pretty good here, actually. And sets up Lethal Mill. In fact, actually, yeah, we have enough mana to mill them out. We just win. Wow, this is amazing. This is just the best thing. Wow, we got there. We fleeting memoriesed them out. Well, not the guy in round 2, but we fleeting memoriesed most of them out. That was fantastic. I've never played a mill deck in limited before, I think. Not a full-on one. I have played another blue-green clues deck with one fleeting memories in it, but it also had a bunch of other stuff like it had ongoing investigation and tireless tracker and a few, actually fewer sort of top deckable large creatures in this deck. It had a Thing in the Ice and the aforementioned tireless tracker and stuff like that. It had a lot more good cards than this one, but it didn't do very well. I went to time in run 1, partly because the deck took a lot of turns. My opponent was thinking through the board stalls, trying to figure out how to attack me. So there were just a lot of turns where like we would think and then pass. Round 2, my opponent had a Startled Awake, which I couldn't possibly beat, and round 3 I got run over. So it's nice to see it actually working. I really like this format. I think it's very intricate. It's a bit unfortunate that you do have a mix of these really cool combo decks and then these almost excruciatingly punishing aggro decks with things like Blood Mad Vampire, which is just a horrific card. And the werewolves and stuff, where if you stumble or if you're trying to get too cute, they'll just run over you. And on the one hand, it's nice to have something to respect. You know, you have to have a barometer, I guess is maybe the word, like some kind of mark where, you know, you have to be this tall to ride, right? You have to be able to put up a fight against an aggro deck rather than it just being loads of dirtly combo decks like going to time and decking every single round. It also means that when people want to get aggressive or feel like they should, or they happen to prefer that sort of playstyle, they're not stuck going, oh, but I have to draw 15 cards instead. So there's obviously benefits and downsides to it, but it's kind of strange how there's this huge disparity between decks that clearly want to live in a forgiving, almost like comforting format like these kind of mill decks, and decks that just want to smash you in the face so hard. Like, Rush of Adrenaline and Fleeting Memories almost don't belong in the same format, and it's bizarre that it actually does work, but it does mean you get a lot of non-games where these aggro decks are very vulnerable to draws on either side. If the opponent draws badly, the aggro decks they just get a bye, they get a free win, more or less. And if they draw badly, they really struggle. I personally find it very difficult drafting aggro in Limited for that very reason, because if you draw badly, you get punished even harder than your opponents when they do. You sort of, depending on the format. Like in this one, the aggro decks are very good at punishing bad draws, but in a lot of other formats, they'll still be able to play some 2/4s or something, and you're sitting there with your 2/1s going, well, you started out mana screwed, but now I can't do a lot. So it's kind of nice that there's a way for aggro decks to not just lose. I liked the way they put all the inevitability in both the aggro decks and the control decks in Oath of the Gatewatch, but it kind of left the decks that didn't have that to fall by the wayside. If you weren't gaining 2 life a turn or dealing a damage every turn or 2 damage every turn outside of combat, you were just so disadvantaged against the decks that were. You had to work extra hard. I found that interesting, but I definitely preferred to be on the side of the people with the essence depleters, regardless of whether they were trying to kill the opponent or survive on any given turn. I wanted to be playing essence depleter. But in this format, I don't feel compelled to be playing the aggro decks. I still find that I've drafted it once or twice, and I still find that, like, if they do have a blocker for your Bloodman Vampire or your random 3/1s or whatever, and you don't have a fistful of tricks that they always seem to have when I play against them, speaking facetiously anyway, but then you struggle. Like, you just don't really get to play much Magic. It's not very fun. It's not engaging. And I have had some quite good games playing aggro decks, and I've had some good games playing against aggro decks. I mean, the Run 1 in particular was really interesting. Like, I enjoyed that a lot. But that was more of a fair aggro deck. I mean, our opponent had a scary rare, but beyond that, there were 2/2s and they turned sideways. So that was much more normal. Whereas our opponent in round 2 had one of these kind of extra punishing decks, which, they have every right to exist. But I still find it very strange to, like, mentally juxtapose werewolves and Blood Mad Vampire / Stensia Masquerade deck with blue-green clues. It's very strange to me that they're in the same format, especially as blue-green doesn't look like it has all that many defensive tools. But it can hang on, it can get there. I think you just have to pick the right cards, I guess. I mean, we didn't come up against the Vampires player that was clearly in this draft. Maybe they were the person who 3-0'd, I'm not sure. There was definitely some good fuel going around for that deck. They probably would have steamrolled us. Assuming they actually got a few madness outlets to make the synergies really sing. Yeah, I do like this format a lot. I like how it reminds me of some of the things I like about Cube. Where you have these synergistic decks and other decks that are much more kind of sensible. My Cube has decks with a variety of straightforwardness, I guess you could say. Like, we have red-green, where you're just like, here is my 5/5, I attack. Here is my 4/4 that plays extra lands, I attack with it. And other decks are like, well, I'll peer from reality your 4/4 and my Snapcaster Mage. And the opponent's just kind of sitting there rolling their eyes while you pick up all your creatures and play them again. And I think we have that same nice dichotomy in this format. And it actually works quite well. I am a fan generally of formats that have low mana curves. and this one does seem to tend towards that end of the spectrum. I think even Origins, I really liked playing Magic Origins. Everyone was like, oh, it's 2 drops to the format, and it kind of was, but I still enjoyed it, and I enjoyed playing control decks in that environment. Because you had lots of 2 drops, your defensive speed was very high. And so you could interact quickly and reliably, rather than playing a bunch of clunkers and hoping you got there before your opponent did. So I think this format does quite a good job of allowing you to buy time to play your stupid stuff. But we definitely got away with a lot of the games we won. Like, we won games where the opponent just sort of didn't do much for a few turns because they stumbled on land or they had an awkward draw. And, we lost games where we did the same thing. This is limited, you do this. But it's sort of in the same way as an aggro deck that we punish that by it giving us time to set up on an inevitability engine, which, when you think about it, is really interesting. Like, aggro decks are like, oh, you didn't play a creature this turn, well, I'm going to transform this 2/2 into a 4/4 and smash you in the face. And we were like, oh, you didn't play a creature this turn, I guess I'm going to play my enchantment that doesn't do anything because I'm not under pressure. And in the same way, it obviously takes longer to win, but in the same way you punish a slow draw by being allowed time to play the quite large number of 3-drop synergistic enchantments there are, and especially green. I'm looking at Crawling Sensation here. We've got that, Overworld Mysteries, Trail of Mystery, Fleeting Memories, Autumnal Gloom, and maybe that's it? This is 5. And Stensia Masquerade, I guess, but that's obviously the aggressive dex play. But even then, if your opponent's racing you with creatures on board, you might not be able to play that Masquerade because they've got too many blockers for it to be effective. And you need to use a trick instead, or discard it after blocks. Find a way to do that. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting and very fun. It is very rare that I get to have this much fun just playing with a limited deck. I love limited, but I love limited most when I can do things that just do not belong in limited, where you can. I remember I once played a Grixis control deck in Dragons of Tarkir draft. I opened, what's it called, Hedonist's Trove, the card that exiles your opponent's entire graveyard, and then you get to cast it. The stuff from their graveyard, I mean. And I looked at it and thought, that's really sweet, and it's probably going to wheel. Let's wheel that and see if it comes back. It did, and then I got a whole bunch of great removal and value cards in the right colors and stuff. I even got the combo of Kolaghan's Command with Monastery Lawmaster, the morph who can return spells from your graveyard to your hand. In the final, in round 3, I came up against another player playing Grixis Control with Kolaghan's Command and Monastery Lawmaster in his deck. We were playing the literal mirror as if it was a standard tournament. But my Hedonist's Trove absolutely dominated the match. I wasn't main decking it. I think I main decked it for round 1 and realised it was quite bad because you had to play the lands first and it took a long time to get any value. But obviously when you're playing the same colours as your opponent, I stole his Kolaghan's Command combo from him and won the game with it. I love formats that let me do stuff like that in Limited, and it's often there if you look for it, but Shadows of Innistrad is full of it. I love that stuff. It's fantastic. So yeah, you know what? I didn't even force that particularly hard. I'm going to go ahead and claim that was open. I mean, we wheeled a second copy of Fleeting Memories. It was definitely open. I think we did it right. I don't think we even had to force it too much. I don't know. My pick order is probably biased towards the cards that are funny. I try and be a serious competitive player, but I can't really resist my impulses to also just have fun. I think that's kind of part of what draws me to Cube is, you play quite competitively, and I play with a bunch of my friends who are good at Magic, often better than me. So we're playing these kind of thoughtful games, trying to, outthink each other and outdraft each other. But it's Cube, So you're casting Progenitor Mimic on Kaga the Tidestar or something. You know, like, you're doing stupid stuff to win, but thoughtfully and competitively, and that's my favourite way to play Magic. So yeah, that was awesome. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what I did well and what I could do better. I want to do more of these drafts in future. Now that we have an official Magic Madhouse account, we're going to try and make this a bit more of a thing. I'm more than happy to be the guinea pig, but please let me know if there's anything you'd like me to video myself playing, any formats you'd like me to see, like should I do flashback drafts and so on. Let me know, or let Tim, my editor, know. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Thank you very much, and good night.